Hello everyone and welcome back to Random Thoughts, episode 85 today. Darren is back in the studio.
I feel like a special guest.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I got to sit on that side.
Did you?
Yeah, it was nice.
Right. I'm not even sure how to do this anymore. Apologies. But maybe I'll have forgotten how to mumble. Maybe,
That could be beneficial,
yeah.
Well, we've had a pretty rough week here at Core Advantage.
Yeah.
It was a challenging start. When it happened...
Let's talk about it. Yeah. So we had a huge thunderstorm on Saturday afternoon. And unbeknownst to us, it caused a flood inside our gym. And it was only when we arrived and started to do our first class of the day on at 12 o'clock
On Monday.
And we discovered that the underneath of almost half the tiles in the gym,
Probably 50% of the gym.
was completely soaked through.
They were just sitting on like little pools of water.
Yeah. And so we desperately scrambled to get the gym ready. And you're the voice of reason. Like at 3:30, I'm like, we can make it, we can do it. And you're like, Durham.
So we started flipping tiles and soaking up water about 1-ish.
It took a long time to mop it up.
And the whole time I'm like, we're not going to be able to open tonight. And you're like, no, we'll just train on the concrete. It'll be fine. We'll put some stuff down. We'll train on. So what if we get 20 athletes at one time, which happens from time to time?
Yeah.
We're going to be in trouble. And you're like, no, we're good.
I thought we could get the rubber back down. And then I thought, oh, maybe we can. I was just wrong. I was wrong on many counts. But anyway.
So we had to shut for the first ever time.
Yeah, first time ever.
We've had to close a night, which is a little sad.
But the good thing is, everyone that missed that night, just about everyone came along. I reckon
Tuesday and Wednesday, so it was all right.
So it's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then we had all day
Tuesday.
All
All day Tuesday to put it back together, basically.
and I didn't do much shared probation because I had some other things I absolutely had to do.
Yeah.
But you guys did.
Yeah. So the topic of today's episode is sort of the battle we went through and the idea of, well, you called it on the first days. It's called a shared privation.
Shared privation. So it's a fundamental concept for bonding teams, boot camps,
Just human psychology in general.
psychology, CrossFit. It's that idea of, as a group, if you're undergoing a difficult situation, it actually bonds you together because you've got that in common. And so it's exploited in a good way a lot of the time. It also is a phenomenon that occurs in wartime, where society really often, as long as it's not a civil war, where society really unifies around a cause and class barriers kind of melt away and everyone's just in this together. And it is something that you can get in any team environment. And I don't think the answer is to go out and destroy your teams, but I think it's an interesting way of creating a bonding effect.
Because connection in teams and the connectedness of team sport athletes is so important to their success. Because if they're playing together for multiple seasons or even a season, the closeness they can have has a massive playing on their success.
It's the factor, I think. The Rick Charlesworth quote that I love, the Hockey Roos coach. Hockey Roos coach, one of the most successful coaches in the history of Australia in hockey, also a member of parliament and also a doctor. That's a medical doctor, like he's just done a bunch of stuff, written a couple of books.
I actually started reading one of them, and he has a stat for, I think it was when he was with Hockey Roos. Maybe it was the Kookaburras. Anyway, it was in semi-finals and grand finals, so gold medal matches and semi-finals, they were 19 of 20 in his time. They lost one semi-final or grand final. So games that mattered, games in the clutch.
So at 19-1.
19-1. And the one they lost was London semi, I think, and they ended up winning bronze.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
And he's a brilliant man. And his thing is, and the quote is, the single biggest source of competitive advantage for any team is its level of connectedness. And that's just the best quote. It's so true. So anything that you can do to enhance that connectedness is going to be super, super valuable.
And so shared privation, going through a battle together, going through tough work together is a massive part of that.
And there's examples of teams where they've tried to do it and it's failed miserably and caused rebellions. So John Buchanan, who was a coach, who some people think is a genius coach, and some people think had the most stacked lineup in the history of Australian cricket.
It's an amazing team.
And I think it could be both. He could be a bit genius, but also he had a ridiculous team. But he tried to do stuff like that, boot campy stuff, and got completely undermined by Warnie. Because Warnie's like, dude, I'm just going to rock up and be the best spin bowler in the history of civilization.
And still smoke my cigarettes and
And I'm not doing all your, because he didn't see the point of that.
Yeah.
In fact, he thought coaches were over in cricket. His view, which is an interesting view, was that coaches are overrated and the captain is actually the boss of the team.
Yeah, cricket has an interesting dynamic compared to a lot of other sports.
Yeah, the captain's got more power in cricket because the captain calls the plays.
You're bowling, you go field here, let's do this
We're
now.
gonna put the field here. Yeah, it's very where people bat. It's all very captain centric. Anyway, but the shared probation concept. So we have a bit of that, I think, in here. Well, it's a funny thing, but when it's hot, people train in here and they're actually more connected because the thing they've all got in common is they're all stinking hot.
Yeah, so our weakness sometimes is actually a major strength because you take advantage of the heat training adaptations, which there's many. We've talked about saunas before.
Yeah, heat training's great.
But there's also that, it's hot. Yeah, it's all hot. We're in here together. Let's just get this done effect. And so we're a little team when the athletes are in here in their groups and they form little teams and they get, the energy in the gym goes up as it gets hotter.
Yeah.
Because the athletes are sort of rallying together like, it's so hot. Yeah, but we're here. Let's get it done. Let's get a good workout in.
I feel like in winter, sometimes it can be a little bit a bunch of athletes working in silos sometimes.
Isolation, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas in the heat, it's just, it's unifying. It's nice.
I think for team sport athletes and team sport coaches, I think it's important that you don't take it so far that you undermine the physiological adaptations of your athletes. So, for example, sports, any team sport, really, basketball, footy, soccer, netball, they're all repeat sprint sports.
Yeah.
So making your athletes run these grueling 5Ks on the concrete, it might make them mentally tougher and connected because they went through that. But if it's at the cost of shin splints, tendinopathies, and just general slow twitch fiber adaptations as opposed to fast twitch fiber adaptations, that you got to balance things.
Yeah, you want your bang for buck because you want shared privation along for the ride with physiological adaptation,
making your athletes fitter, stronger, faster, better. Yeah.
Or at the very least, it's got to be
neutral,
be break even.
Yeah. So I think repeat sprint workouts are really good.
Yeah. I think bike's really good because you can have a whole team, like as in spin bike, because you can have a whole team together and you've got someone less fit, someone more fit, someone heavier, someone lighter.
They're all side by side.
Yeah, and they're all working at their own level, but collectively...
They're all collectively an 8 out of 10, but at a different pace.
And you can push them really hard without being... you can really push the pain barrier without being worried about any form of injury. I think there's a lot to that.
That's nice for us, but what if you didn't have a bike? Or bikes are...
Yeah, running.
So what sort of sprints would you do?
I think...
Because long distance stuff is out. That's pretty clear now. You don't want to be doing that. But what's some better options?
I think repeat effort sprints shape up as your best. I think doing stuff that is short, sharp. We're like a broken record on this stuff, but short, sharp, game specific stuff. And I think there's a lot to be said for when coaches will construct drills where if the last player doesn't make it, then a punishment, like where your weak link in the group causes the others to be punished, which as a kid you hated. As an athlete you often hate. But what happens is that everyone focuses their hate on the coach.
Yeah, and so you become the whipping post. Exactly.
So if you're the catalyst.
If you can channel their anger towards you, not at each other, that increases the connection, increases the connectivity, and so then you go away the bad guy, but you know
that as a team
they're off at lunch complaining about you, so it's a success.
They're not turning on each other. They're not developing cliques. Yeah.
And it helps create that coaching separation you want from your players sometimes as well. I think it's important.
Yeah. And there's other things you can do. If you're full of money, if you've got too much money, you can go do the cryotherapy.
I haven't done that yet.
Okay, that was so interesting.
Talk us through it. What is it?
All right. So cryotherapy is where you go into a super cooled chamber.
Super cooled, like negative 100 type stuff? Like
negative 100 plus. I'm pretty sure it was like more than 100 degrees negative.
Below Celsius.
Yeah.
Wow. Right.
It was ridiculous. And in the same way that heat stress has physiological benefits, cold stress, it's almost a mirror image. In other words, it's the stress in your body overcompensates, supercompensates. and it's all a bit scary. So you go in there and you get these special mittens and you've got this special kit and the special gloves that you wear, and you have a robe, but you disrobe down to your jocks. They tell you to cover your nipples because the pain can be pretty excruciating, and it's really scary. So you go in, and I'm not great at cold, generally.
You still haven't got on my cold shower thing.
No, it's ridiculous. I've tried it like a couple of times. After a run, I'll do a coldish shower. But
A cool shower, yeah, right.
But anyway, so my heart rate was already elevated.
Nervous sort of thing.
And they warn you, whatever you do, don't touch the wall or the floor because you will stick to it.
Oh,
And it will burn your skin. Like, you touch it, you're going to...
Liquid nitrogen type stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And so you go into the first chamber, which is like, I don't know, negative 60. And that's the preparation. And you're in there for like, I don't know, 3 minutes. You go in there and your heart rate's up and it's a stress response. Like, it's like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. And they get you to choose a song that you want to hear. Like, they play it through the system to kind of chill you out. But you go into that one and then you spend like, I don't know, 90 seconds in that. And then you go into the cold one because they can't send you straight from normal.
Because you'll die. I'm guessing.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like, it's super cold. Like, it really hurts. And then it kind of just stops hurting. It's quite a surreal experience.
But heart rate slow back down?
No, heart rate goes up. Norepinephrine.
Yep.
Like, it's an adrenaline dump. And I know that I remember hearing a Darren Burgess workshop talking about how they went to a place in the Middle East. I've forgotten where it was. But anyway, an amazing camp owned by like a sultan or some
emperor or something like that.
Yeah. And they had one that had like a 15-person
cryo chamber.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of money for it. The conclusion of the story is if you want that shared privation, you're gonna need a lot of money.
But I think in Melbourne, the great thing we have is the water is always stupidly cold in the ocean, no matter what time of year. And in fact, it's a bit colder in summer, our water, than it is in winter. Did you know that?
In the bay?
Yeah.
I did not know.
In the ocean, around, because of the certain current changes, it might be more in the ocean and less in the bay. But anyway, the point being, our water is plenty cold enough to create a decent dose of shared privation almost all of the year. A day like today, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Today's beautiful.
So in winter, your shared privation would be doing your recovery work at the beach.
Yeah.
Get in there, guys.
Yep.
Go swim a lap. In summer, though, it would be cashing in on our gorgeous heat.
Yep.
And actually
and doing some work in the heat.
Being intelligent, because training in the heat in dehydration is not a joke. But if harnessed correctly, it can have shared privation effects and massive physiological benefits.
Massive. That's why footy teams they'll take a team to a hot environment for the
Arizona.
benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's talk. I started doing some research.
Before we get too far, I'm terrified someone stops now and goes out and makes their 10-year-old kids do this. To be crystal clear, young kids do not thermoregulate as well as adults.
They don't sweat the right way.
They just they haven't developed the systems to cope with heat. So that the rules are very different for, really, you've got to treat single digit kids very different to double digits, I think. And even it's really only from 13 onwards that the systems are really starting to develop more.
I wouldn't be doing this with anyone under 15.
Yeah. I think it's,
sauna treatment, heat training,
You wait till you're older. Yeah.
But there's some research saying that heat training and doing it correctly can be better than altitude training.
Yeah.
So wasting all your money going up mountains and doing your train hard, live low, just train in heat or spend some time in saunas.
Your mates at Collingwood spend a lot of money on altitude. Your mates. I love teasing you.
They should just buy really big saunas and just put some bikes in there.
Yeah. There's a great at VUT. There's they've got
what's VUT? Sorry.
Vic Uni rather.
Victorian University. VU. Yep.
Showing my age.
Yeah.
It used to be Victoria University of Technology.
Right.
That was a while ago.
Yep.
At VU, they've got a pretty sweet facility there. And it's an altitude, it's a bike, they've got the bike set up, and it's a room where they can control altitude, humidity, temperature, and radiant temperature, I think.
What's the difference?
One is where you just feel hot, and the other is like the sun beating down on you.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, different types of heaters, you feel a bit like the ones that blow on you feel a bit different to the hydronic ones. And so they've got that, so they can basically dial it in. They can go, all right, let's make it like Arizona for this workout.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That's really interesting.
I know a friend told me that Andrew Bogut, he has a bike set up in his steam room.
Oh, cool.
So you can do bike workouts in the steam room to get that
Nice.
heat effect as well.
That's really cool. I remember back when I was a kid. I've just remembered now. I remember the under 16 girls in our town. When I was in that, their 18s were quite successful.
Yep.
They were a pretty good basketball team, and we always played the Bendigo Australia Day tournament,
Yep.
which is just disgusting. Every year, 40 degrees without a doubt.
Yep.
And they would do their training in like sperm suits, like painters, like industrial type, and like tape up the edges and like train and do a basketball. And we're like, what the hell are they doing? And now I get it. They were taking advantage of this, because when you train in the heat, you sweat earlier, so fitter people will
Yep.
sweat faster, but they don't sweat as much. So they'll get there and they'll start cooling themselves earlier, and then they'll balance themselves back out more rapidly, and they hold more blood volume as well.
Okay.
So they're fitter.
So so shared privation, it's a good concept. The heat is one way to do it. And another interesting way is sometimes coaches will take everyone's, like at nationals, they'll no one will be allowed to have their phone. You're only allowed to have your phone for like an hour a day.
That kind of stuff's good.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to sleep on the floor at like camps and stuff like that. Everyone's got to sleep in the stadium, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So interesting concept. Use it safely. And we'll be having some more of it tonight in the gym because it'll be nice
Still a
and
little
hot.
warm, isn't it?
Yeah.